So, good evening, all, and welcome to this program this evening. Thank you for joining me. Recently, the VeryDarkMan has been in China, so I want to put a little searchlight on what he is doing in China. Okay, so let's talk about what's really happening with VeryDarkMan in China, because what some people are calling whistleblowing looks a lot more like economic sabotage, and it carries a dangerous anti-Igbo undertone. You know, that too, many people are ignoring. See, for years, the Igbo men and women have built bridges between Nigeria and China. They were there when nobody believed in African trade. They went to China with nothing, no connection, no language, no safety net, nobody to guarantee them. When people believed that it was impossible to trade with a place, when was a complete language barrier, you know, and China had a very hostile environment towards the African people, you know. So for years, these Igbo men went there. They built bridges, learned the languages against all odds, suffered racism. You know, they were there when nobody believed in African trade. They went to China with nothing, no connection, no language, like I said, no safety net. They built relationships, earned trust, survived racism, police raids, cultural barriers, And today, those same Igbo entrepreneurs feed thousands of Nigerians and families, importing goods and creating jobs, sustaining an entire economic ecosystem here in Nigeria, between Nigeria and China. Now, here comes a man with a camera, VDM, and a loud voice walking into factories, filming suppliers, exposing networks, and calling it transparency. What kind of transparency is this? I mean, what kind of transparency is that? You know, is it really transparency or is it treachery? Because when you open up trade secrets of a people who built everything with sweat, with blood, and strategy, you're not helping them. You're not helping anybody at all. You're not helping the chain of the business. You are destroying it. You're destroying a whole business empire built by people through hard work, through dedication. Now think about it. These factories and suppliers didn't just appear out of thin air. Igbo businesses spent decades building those relationships, convincing Chinese partners to trust Nigerians at all. Not even because there was no kind of communication, there was no trust, there was no government link in all these things. These were people who just, against all odds, wanted to make things happen. The networks that they build, they are not gatekeeping. They are a reward for hard work and risk taken by a lot of people. Yet suddenly, one man is online saying, let me show you where they buy their goods. Let me show you how cheap these things are. Let me expose how they do it. And people are clapping. Gullible young Nigerians. Even a majority of them are of the Igbo ethnicity, joining this whole thing, fighting against themselves. But I believe these are gullible, very young people that have no idea where this is headed. Now, my brother, that is not progress. That is called betrayal, disguised in empowerment. Because when you destroy the system Igbo traders build, what comes next? Tell me. Chaos, fraud, collapse. When the Igbo man, after this whole thing messes up and they decide to go into all kinds of things just to survive, he will still go after them. When supplier information becomes public, the sharks move in. Middlemen create fake contacts, counterfeit goods flood the market, and the same people you claim to be helping get burned even worse. That's not reform. That is called recklessness. But there is another layer people are not are too afraid to mention: the tribal undertone. Why is it that whenever success wears an Igbo garment, it suddenly becomes a problem? When other people or other tribes build exclusive business models, it's called smart and strategy. But when the Igbos do it, it's simply monopoly, greed, or wickedness. You see the pattern. So you just see the way the pattern, the whole thing is going, you know. And we're not watching a crusade for truth. If you ask me, we are watching another attempt to humble the Igbo spirit. The same spirit that built Alaba International, the spirit that built Aspanda, the spirit that built the Idumota Market, the spirit that built Mandilas, the spirit that built the largest market in West Africa, that is the Onitsha main market. This same spirit built trade routes across Asia and down to Africa, through the Americas. There is no place where the Igbo man has not built trade routes through. All this, they turned obstacles into opportunity because it was not easy. Nobody said this has ever been. Now, the saddest part of this whole thing is many of the people cheering VDM don't even realize they are celebrating slow death of the Igbo business legacy. I mean, the Igbos that are cheering him, those who think they think that at this moment, you put yourself only in the position of the consumer. You don't ever put yourself in the shoes of the businessman. But we are all businessmen one way or the other, because what if you sell one thing, you definitely go out to buy another. Every businessman is also a consumer, and every consumer at one time or the other becomes a seller of a good. So when you destroy the source of the stream runs dry for everyone. I mean everybody, the consumer and the distributor. No one is saying we shouldn't expose fraud or corruption. No, I never said that. But there is a difference between fighting fraud and fighting success. If you truly want to help teach people how to do clean business, don't burn down their house. Don't burn down the bridge they have built. So let's call this whole thing what it is. As far as I'm concerned, VDM, his China mission isn't about helping Nigerians alone. It's about chasing clouds, tearing down what he doesn't understand, and feeding a narrative that the Igbo man's success must always be explained, exposed, or even erased. But history has shown the Igbo spirit never dies. It rebuilds, it reinvents, and it survives. Now let me say, and no matter how loud the noise gets, truth will always outlive propaganda. At the end of the day, we will see that the truth will outlive all this propaganda. I rest my case here. Kindly join this, subscribe to this channel, please, so we can continue to bring you groundbreaking stories here in Nigeria. Thank you, and God bless. Bye.